There comes a point in every person's life when their back is against the wall, when the storm rages so fiercely that even the strongest begin to tremble. It might be an illness, a financial collapse, a broken relationship, or a deep loss. In those moments we cry out, "Why God? Why now? Why me?" But the answer doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes God's greatest answer is simply this: let me handle it. You see, there's a peace that surpasses understanding, but it doesn't come from understanding. It comes from surrender. When you stop fighting in your own strength and begin trusting in God's strength, everything changes. You may not see the change immediately, but faith is not about what you see. It's about who you trust. God has not abandoned you. He has not forgotten your pain. He has not ignored your cries. He is not late. He is not silent. He is working in ways you cannot yet see. But the question is, will you let Him handle it? Will you step back and give Him the space to be God in your life? You weren't created to carry every burden. You weren't designed to fix every problem or control every outcome. You were created to trust, to believe, and to lean on a Father who never fails. Every time you try to carry it alone, it crushes your joy. It robs you of peace. It leaves you drained. But when you give it to God, when you say, "Lord, I surrender this. It's too big for me, but not too big for you," you activate His power in your life. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs begin not with action, but with surrender. It's not weakness to admit you need help. It's wisdom. Because the moment you surrender to God, the battle becomes His, not yours. And when God takes over, the impossible becomes possible. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start trusting. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you give it over. And when you do, something supernatural happens. Heaven begins to move on your behalf. The doors that were shut begin to open. The chains that bound you begin to break. The fear that paralyzed you begins to dissolve. Because now the Creator of the universe is handling it. You may have been waiting a long time. You may be wondering, Lord, when will things turn around? But hear this truth: God's delay is not His denial. He's not withholding the blessing. He's preparing it. And more than that, He's preparing you. You might think nothing is happening, but God is working behind the scenes. He's aligning circumstances, shifting hearts, moving pieces you can't even see. And while you wait, He's not just building the blessing, He's building your faith. Because faith that is tested is faith that can be trusted. God is not in a hurry, but He is always on time. You might not understand the process, but trust in the promise. The promise that He will never leave you nor forsake you. The promise that all things work together for good to those who love Him. The promise that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. You're not being overlooked. You're being set up for something greater. The breaking is often a part of the blessing. Sometimes God has to let things fall apart to show you where your real strength lies in Him. Not in money, not in people, not in your own ability, but in Him alone. And yes, it's hard to let go. We're human. We want to control. We want to know how and when and why. But real faith says, I don't need to know how. I just need to know who. And you do know who. You know the one who spoke the stars into existence. You know the one who calmed the storm with a word. You know the one who fed thousands with just a few loaves and fish. That same God is handling your situation right now. So stop worrying. Stop rehearsing the worst-case scenario in your mind. Stop draining your energy trying to force what only God can fix. Rest in the knowledge that God sees the whole picture. You only see a piece, but He sees the end from the beginning. He knows the road ahead. He knows what you need, when you need it, and how to get it to you. You may feel like everything is falling apart, but from God's perspective, everything is falling into place. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're right where you need to be for God to show up and show out in your life. The question is, will you trust Him enough to stop trying to fix what you were never meant to fix? So many people are exhausted not because of life's problems, but because of their refusal to trust. Worry is heavy. Fear is exhausting. Anxiety steals your strength, but faith restores. Faith lifts you up. That's why God says, cast your cares on me because I care for you. Not just some of your cares, all of them. That health scare, give it to God. That broken relationship, give it to God. That financial burden, give it to God. That secret pain, give it to God. And then watch what He does. He'll take what looks like a mess and make it a message. He'll take what's broken and make it beautiful. He'll take what was meant for your harm and turn it for your good. That's who He is. He is the restorer, the redeemer, the healer, the way maker. You might be thinking, but I've made too many mistakes. Don't let shame convince you that God has changed His mind about you. His mercy is new every morning. His grace is still available. He's not waiting for you to be perfect. He's waiting for you to be willing. Willing to trust, willing to surrender, willing to say, Lord, I'm tired of trying to do this without you. And the moment you do, peace will come. Not because your circumstances changed instantly, but because your heart did. Because now, instead of carrying the weight, you're walking in trust. You've handed the burden to the one who can actually carry it. And that act of surrender, letting God handle it, will strengthen your faith in ways you never imagined. Faith isn't just believing when it's easy. Faith is believing when it's hard. When there's no sign, no breakthrough, no evidence. Faith is standing on the promise when everything in you wants to run. Faith is waking up every morning and saying, God, I still trust you. And the more you trust, the stronger your faith becomes. The more you release control, the more you experience His power. The more you surrender, the more you rise. And what once broke you will begin to bless you. What once scared you will begin to shape you. And what once defeated you will become the very testimony that encourages someone else. So don't give up. Don't quit. Don't stop trusting. Let God handle it. Let Him take the wheel. Let Him calm the storm. Let Him open the door. Let Him carry the burden. He loves you more than you know. He's closer than you think. And He's already at work. No prayer goes unheard. No tear goes unnoticed. No act of faith is wasted. Even when you feel forgotten, God is faithful. Even when you feel weak, God is strong. Even when you feel lost, God knows exactly where you are. And right now, He's whispering to your heart, let me handle it. I've got this. I've got you. There is a moment in every believer's journey where the striving becomes too heavy, where the battles wear down even the strongest of souls. You've tried everything. You've prayed, planned, worked, and worried. You've carried the weight of the world on your shoulders, believing that if you just did more, prayed harder, or pushed further, things would finally break open. But nothing seems to change. The mountain doesn't move. The storm doesn't quiet. The answer doesn't come. It's in these very moments that God begins to whisper, let go. Give it to me. You see, we've been conditioned to believe that strength lies in never stopping, never bending, never surrendering. But in the kingdom of God, power is revealed through surrender. Victory doesn't come from our relentless pushing. It comes when we finally fall to our knees and say, Lord, I can't do this anymore. I need you. And in that sacred act of surrender, something supernatural begins to shift. The weight you were never meant to carry starts to lift. The fear that wrapped itself around your mind starts to loosen. Because God doesn't need your strength. He needs your trust. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving over. It's the moment you stop trying to force your way through a locked door and begin allowing God to lead you to the one He's already opened. Surrender says, God, even if I don't understand, I choose to trust. Even if I don't see the way, I believe you are the way. That kind of surrender doesn't come from weakness. It comes from deep spiritual maturity. It's the choice to let God. Throughout Scripture, the greatest miracles were born in moments of surrender. When Moses stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army closing in, he didn't launch an attack. He obeyed God's voice. When Esther faced the risk of death for stepping into the king's court, she surrendered her safety and said, if I perish, I perish. When Jesus knelt in the Garden of Gethsemane, overwhelmed with sorrow, He said, not my will, but yours be done. In each of these moments, surrender activated heaven. The world tells you to be in control. God tells you to release control. And that act of releasing is the key that unlocks His divine power in your life. Because as long as you're holding on tightly to the reins, God won't force His way in. He waits for your invitation. He waits for your trust. And when you finally hand it over to Him, He doesn't just patch things up. He transforms them. You may feel like surrendering is risky, like you're stepping into the unknown. But friend, you're not stepping into emptiness. You're stepping into the hands of the one who knows the end from the beginning, the one who has never failed, the one who holds your future. So breathe, release, and let God handle it. He's not only able, He's waiting. And the moment you surrender is the moment He steps in with power that exceeds all you could ask or imagine. Waiting can feel like the hardest part of faith. It's in the waiting that doubts begin to whisper, hearts begin to grow weary, and we wonder if God has forgotten us. You pray and nothing seems to move. You hope and the silence deepens. It feels like heaven has gone quiet. But what if I told you that the silence isn't abandonment, it's preparation? What if the waiting isn't punishment, it's purpose? God is never in a rush. He doesn't operate according to our timelines or our expectations. While we measure our lives by the clock, He measures our hearts by trust. When you're waiting, it may feel like nothing is happening. But the truth is, everything is happening. You just can't see it yet. Like a seed planted in the soil, growth takes place underground before it ever breaks the surface. In the same way, while you wait, God is working in places you cannot see, moving pieces you don't even know exist, preparing you for something greater than what you prayed for. Sometimes God holds back the blessing not because He's cruel, but because He's kind. He knows that if He gave it too soon, it might crush you. So He waits. And while He waits, He stretches your faith. He deepens your character. He clears away the pride, the impatience, the fear. He teaches you to trust in who He is, not just in what He gives. Because God doesn't want to just give you the blessing. He wants you to be ready for it. Think of Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream of greatness, of leadership, of favor. But before the dream came true, he was betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned, and forgotten. For years he waited. But in that waiting, God shaped him into the man who could handle the responsibility of the dream. Had Joseph walked into the palace without first walking through the prison, he wouldn't have had the wisdom, the strength, or the compassion to fulfill his calling. The same is true for you. The delay is not the end. It's the training ground. You might be wondering right now, how long do I have to wait? The truth is, no one knows but God. But here's what you can know: not a second of your waiting is wasted. Every moment is part of the plan. Every tear is seen, every prayer is heard. God is not ignoring you. He's loving you deeply by using this season to grow your roots, so that when the winds come, and they will come, you'll be unshakable. Waiting is the soil where deep faith grows. It's where you learn to lean not on your understanding, but on His promises. It's where hope is refined, where trust is tested, and where peace is found, not in outcomes, but in presence. So don't despise the wait. Embrace it. Let it do its holy work in you. Because when the time is right, and only God knows when that is, the breakthrough will come, and you'll see that what He prepared for you was worth every moment you spent trusting Him in the silence. There are times in life when it feels like your prayers are hitting a wall, like everything you're asking for is falling into an empty silence. You look around and nothing seems to be moving. The situation isn't changing. The people around you aren't responding, and the burden you're carrying feels just as heavy as it did yesterday. And in those moments, the enemy will try to convince you that God has forgotten you, that He's distant, silent, or uninterested. But that is a lie. Just because you can't see God moving doesn't mean He's not working. In fact, some of the greatest moves of God happen in secret, behind the scenes, far from what the human eye can perceive. God is a master at working in the unseen. He orchestrates solutions while you sleep. He speaks to people on your behalf without your knowledge. He aligns opportunities, opens doors, and removes obstacles, often without a sound. And when it all comes together, it looks like it happened suddenly, but in truth, it was being prepared all along. Think about a theater stage. When the curtain is closed and the room is dark, it appears like nothing is happening. But behind that curtain, there's activity. People are setting up, adjusting lights, preparing props, getting everything ready for the show. The audience only sees the final result, the polished performance, but everything that mattered happened in the hidden places. That's how God works. The stage of your life may look still right now, but heaven is busy on your behalf. There are divine appointments being arranged. There are hearts being softened. There are delays that feel frustrating, but are actually protection. There are rerouted paths that seem confusing, but are ultimately leading you to the right destination. You may not be aware of any of it, but that doesn't make it any less real. The Bible reminds us that we walk by faith, not by sight. That's because faith isn't about seeing what God is doing. It's about believing He is doing something, even when you can't. And the beautiful truth is, when God does reveal what He's been working on, it will be more than you asked for, more than you imagined, and right on time. It may not follow your timeline, but it will fit perfectly in His plan. The promotion you didn't expect, the healing you almost gave up on, the reconciliation you thought was impossible, these are the kinds of miracles that come out of God's hidden hand. So in your waiting, keep trusting. In your confusion, keep praying. In your discouragement, keep worshiping. God hasn't stopped moving. He's just working undercover. And when it's time, He'll pull back the curtain and reveal a story that was always full of purpose, full of love, and full of His power. You don't have to see it to believe it. You just have to believe that the God who loves you is never idle, never distant, and never late. He's working right now, and one day you'll look back and realize He was there all along. There comes a point when holding on becomes more exhausting than letting go. You lie awake at night, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, and trying to control outcomes that are far beyond your reach. Worry begins to eat away at your joy, your strength, and even your physical health. You smile on the outside, but your soul is tired. And through the noise of your anxious thoughts, God is gently calling you to release it all, to let go and trust Him. Worry is a thief. It steals the present moment and fills it with fear about the future. It convinces you that you must solve everything, fix everyone, and foresee every possible outcome. But that is a burden your shoulders were never designed to carry. You weren't made to carry the weight of the world. You were made to cast your cares upon the One who holds the world in His hands. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means placing your faith where it belongs in God's perfect, sovereign plan. When you choose to let go, something miraculous begins to happen inside of you. The tight grip of fear begins to loosen. The pressure to be in control begins to fade, and peace, true, deep, unshakable peace, starts to take root in your heart. This peace doesn't come from everything being perfect around you. It comes from trusting the One who is perfect above you. The Bible describes it as peace that surpasses all understanding because it defies logic. It quiets the storm not necessarily outside you but within you. Think about the disciples on the boat in the middle of a storm. The waves were crashing, the winds were howling, and their hearts were filled with panic. But Jesus, he was sleeping. Why? Because he knew who was in control. And when they finally cried out to him, he stood and calmed the sea with a word. That's what he still does today. But often, he waits until we let go of trying to fix it ourselves. He waits until we turn to him and say, Lord, I need you. Letting go is an act of surrender. It's choosing to trust that God sees what you cannot see, knows what you do not know, and loves you more than you can imagine. It means releasing the outcome, the timing, and the method into his hands. It means believing that even if things don't go the way you hoped, they will go the way he has purposed, and his purpose is always for your good. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of God in the midst of them. So whatever you're holding on to today, fear, control, regret, anger, disappointment, place it at his feet. Speak it aloud in prayer. Breathe deeply and let it go. Trust that he is big enough to carry it, wise enough to handle it, and loving enough to walk with you through it. When you release your burden, you make room in your heart for his peace, and that peace will carry you, sustain you, and guard you in every season of your life. Pain is one of life's greatest mysteries. It enters uninvited, lingers longer than we want, and often leaves us with questions that echo in the silence. Why me? Why now? What's the purpose in all of this? When we're in the middle of suffering, it can feel like we're being punished, forgotten, or left behind. But friend, God never wastes pain. In his hands, even your deepest hurt becomes a tool for transformation. The breaking you feel isn't punishment, it's preparation. Think of how a potter shapes clay. Before it becomes something beautiful and useful, the clay has to be pressed, spun, and even put through the fire. The process is intense, and if the clay could speak, it would likely cry out in discomfort. But the potter knows what he's doing. He has a vision for what that clay will become. In the same way, God is shaping you through trials, through tears, through the moments that feel like they will break you. But they're not breaking you to destroy you. They're breaking you to build you. Every struggle you walk through has the potential to deepen your faith. It's easy to say you trust God when life is smooth, when the path is clear and the blessings are abundant. But true faith is forged in the fire. It's in the late nights of crying out to God with no answer that your roots go deeper. It's in the seasons of silence that your ears become more attuned to his whisper. And it's in the moments of surrender that your heart learns to rely on his strength, not your own. Remember Joseph. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and forgotten in prison. But later, standing in a place of power, he looked at those who hurt him and said, "What you meant for evil, God meant for good." That's the mystery of divine purpose. God can take what was intended to harm you and use it to heal you, elevate you, and prepare you for something far greater than you could imagine. The pain becomes the platform for your purpose. Don't let the enemy convince you that your suffering is meaningless. Every tear you've cried, every heartbreak you've endured, every disappointment you've faced, they're all known by God. And not only does he see it, but he promises to redeem it. He uses pain to soften your heart, to teach compassion, to strip away pride, to increase empathy, and to cultivate strength that doesn't come from self but from him. You may not understand the why right now, but you can hold on to the who. God is still in control. He is still good, and he is still working even in the dark. One day you'll look back and realize that the valley you thought would destroy you actually shaped you into someone more courageous, more compassionate, more faithful, and more prepared for your calling. So don't despise your pain, don't run from it. Bring it to God, let him use it, let him speak through it. Let him strengthen you in the very place you thought you were weakest. Because your pain is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of a deeper, more powerful chapter. And through it all, God is writing something beautiful in you. Trust isn't always easy, especially when life feels uncertain, when prayers go unanswered, or when circumstances don't line up with what we expected. We want clarity, reassurance, and a sense of control. But real faith grows strongest in surrender, not in knowing every answer, but in trusting the one who does. Trusting God doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to believe that his reality is higher, wiser, and more complete than anything we can see. Letting go and letting God handle what you can't control doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. It breaks the chains of anxiety and the pressure of trying to hold everything together. Trusting God is not a passive act. It's one of the most courageous things you can do. Because when you release your grip and open your hands, you're not giving up. You're making room for God to step in and do what only he can. Strength in the kingdom of God doesn't look like self-sufficiency. It looks like dependence. It's found in the quiet whisper of a heart that says, "Lord, I don't understand, but I choose to trust you anyway." That kind of trust doesn't happen overnight. It's built day by day, decision by decision, as you learn to lean into his promises instead of your fears. There's something powerful about trusting God in the middle of uncertainty. That's where faith becomes unshakable. That's where peace begins to take root. Not because everything around you is calm, but because your soul has found its anchor. When storms come, and they will, trust is what keeps you standing. When delays stretch longer than expected, trust is what keeps you waiting with hope. And when life doesn't go the way you planned, trust is what keeps you walking forward without fear. The truth is, the more you trust God, the more you grow. Trust stretches you, refines you, and strengthens the foundation of your life. It teaches you to stop relying on your own limited vision and start leaning on the wisdom of an unlimited God. As you let go of control, you begin to realize that you never needed to carry it all in the first place. God's shoulders are wide enough. His hands are steady enough. His heart is faithful enough. So if you find yourself in a season where nothing makes sense and the weight feels too heavy, stop trying to hold it all together. Surrender it. Trust that the God who created the heavens and the earth can handle your situation. And as you do, something will shift inside of you. Fear will fade, strength will rise. And your faith, your deep, quiet, unwavering faith will become the very thing that carries you.